Welcome to A Third Opinion with Paul Rodgers and Bob Weldon. Here's the truth about the latest wellness findings in medical news, options and protocols you might not know about. These guys lay it out for you. Straightforward information, important to you. It's time to get A Third Opinion on News Talk 660 WORL. Here's Paul and Bob.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. Took all of my glory away from me because I was going to say exactly what he said. Can you imagine that? Welcome back to A Third Opinion. This is the first time and in full earshot of everybody who's listening that our medical practitioners, patients, and you, our listeners, can join in a conversation such as this. We hope you'll learn that traditional medicine does not own an exclusive on all of the options that are available to you. We've been talking about breast cancer today. Dr. Catherine Zelner is our guest medical panelist and will be a regular on the show. She's a terrific doctor and a great lady. Very knowledgeable and really knows what she's doing in her practice. I can testify to that. Bob Weldon, who's a certified nutritional consultant, is the director of health and wellness at the Zelner Institute of Integrative Medicine. And Bob, we've been talking about prevention, and we want to find out from Dr. Zelner, what are some of the procedures and protocols that you're using on the prevention side of things in your practice?
Well, one of the main things is nutrition. And, we're kind of veering away from screening and other tests of, detection. And now we're talking about living a healthy lifestyle, one that's cancer-free. And we do know, again, there's a lot of science behind, again, cell biology and what causes a cell to go, to become a cancer cell. Of course, if I knew that, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I'd be on vacation, but, we don't know. We don't know what causes cancer, but we certainly see some, cellular processes that lead to cancer, and one is inflammation. Research is showing that inflammation precedes cancer by 10 to 15 years, and that more than 70% of people that have cancer had a history of some inflammatory disorder, inflammation, chronic disease. We also talk about inflammation as preceding diabetes and chronic heart disease too. But inflammation. So when we talk about cell biology, nutrition, what can decrease your inflammation? So that's one area of science that we want people on good diets. We talk about the environmental toxins, the toxic burden on the liver, what is, again, disrupting our hormones. We know a lot about these things, and if we can eliminate them in our lifestyle and improve our nutrition and take supplements that have been studied and formulated to decrease inflammation, this is what it's all about.
That's a good point, Dr. Zelner. I was reading an article the other day, and it made the statement, and of course you and I would agree with this, up to 50% of breast cancer cases are thought to be preventable just through simple changes. 50%.
50% of breast cancer cases are thought to be preventable.
Changes in diet and lifestyle. And we're going to
50%.
50%. Now that's a theory, of course. I don't think it's documented, but it makes perfectly good sense. Now, Dr. Zelner was talking about inflammation as the root cause. And I think a lot of people have been educated a little bit about what systemic inflammation is and why you can trace it back to inflammation. Almost every disease state that we are facing as humans does have that component in it of chronic inflammation. And here at the practice, we do specialized testing for that. We do oxidative stress tests in blood and urine that will help us to see what's going on in the blood as far as regards to inflammation, which is caused by oxidation from free radicals. We've talked about on this show many times with the Nature's Pearl product that we use in our practice, and we promote that heavily because of the research behind it. So, Dr. Zelner, when we're talking about a lot of these things that we do these consults, just give the audience a run through of how we do that here in the practice as far as, and before you do that, I know we have a call.
Hello, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Susan, good morning and welcome.
Thank you. I had a quick question for the panel.
Yes.
I understand that a lot of the vitamins and supplements on the market are petroleum-based, and they're synthetic, and they're actually more harmful than good. So as a consumer, what do you suggest in disseminating, the ocean of stuff that's out there on shelves?
Wow. You see, this is what we're talking about. People know what's going on out there. This is a problem that we have. We've got a lot of industrial chemicals in those nutritional supplements. So again, we only use companies that have been tested. Bob, you have something to say?
Sure. I was going to add. Thanks for the question there, Sue. And
maybe there's a follow up too.
Yeah. Yes, and we'll see if you have a follow up if we don't answer your question completely. But here in a medical practice, integrated practice, and I think this is probably common to most practices like Dr. Zelner's practice. We use only primarily physician-produced products, physician companies that produce them for their physician base, I should say.
So it's a requirement.
Yes, we have like Zymogen, Metagenics, Orthomoleculars. There are many out there, and all they really do is produce these type of functional foods and supplements. They're all standardized. They work real well, and they're gluten-free, they're toxin-free, and they supply us with lots of research. So, a physician like Dr. Zelner is just not going to bring some vitamins and supplements in here and be selling them from her practice if she's not done the investigation first and looked at the research. And, of course, because we test here, this is the key point, because we test, we see the results in the blood because the blood doesn't lie. So we periodically test when we have someone on a nutritional program, whether it's prevention or whether we're targeting a condition. We test the blood. We know if these nutrients are getting into the cell and they're working. And so we thank you so much for the question there. But it's a good question because we have patients come in all the time and they bring the supplements in that they're taking. And, we try not to badmouth what's out there. But when you look at the ingredients of some of these things, you're wondering, are you deficit in FTC blue, yellow, and green?
He's referring to dyes.
The dyes, the food colorings. Those are toxins that we don't need to be putting in our body. So we certainly called you.
I must weigh in here for just a second and say that the opening part of Susan's question, when she alluded to the foreign stuff that is in a proliferation of these vitamin products that are found on the shelves, I said, wow, that's a confidence builder. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that you need to really study the labels of even many of these products to make sure you're not getting these free radicals and all the rest of the stuff that we're not supposed to be doing.
This is one reason I got into nutritional medicine, too, because my patients were just treating themselves. They were on multiple nutrients, and I would want them to go on another one. I wanted to make sure they were on the right one, at high quality, GMP certified, and that's one of the reasons why we got into this. Right, Bob?
That is absolutely correct.
Isn't there an old phrase that says a patient who treats himself has a fool for a doctor?
I think that's.
Have you ever heard that?
I have heard
that. A patient that treats himself has a fool for a doctor.
But I guarantee you this, Paul. Every physician out there, at one time or another, or probably multiple times, maybe even on a daily basis, get this question asked of them: Doc, can you recommend a good vitamin? And of course, obviously, if they're not an integrative doctor, so just go down to the grocery store and pick up a multivitamin and, without looking at what's in it. But the integrative doctors, they really tear these apart and look at them. And because they understand the biochemistry and what's going on in the body, and we want to circle back around to this topic again with breast cancer and cancer in general.
Right.
Why would we be taking something that could possibly be carcinogen?
Well, you wouldn't do it on purpose.
It's a lack of knowledge, and there are many things we're going to point to on this program where a resource where you can find what's in your supplements and determine whether you should be taking these or not. Or how about just listening to the professionals, the doctor who's in charge of your care, the integrative doctor, hopefully, that's in charge of your care, starting with your nutrition. And look, supplement, that's the word we want to focus on. It's not a replacement for diet. It's a supplement for nutrients that you're not receiving in your foods, and we've all heard the stories about that. But Dr. Zelner, when we go back to this topic of breast cancer, and if I'm one of your patients, you just kind of walk us through what, and if we have time in a second, if not, we'll carry it over to the next segment. What kind of things would you be recommending, or do we recommend here? We've gone through the screening process. We've recommended their mammos and their regular screenings and testings. And now someone says, okay, I have no cancer at this point, or I have no suspicion of one. What can I be incorporating in my lifestyle that would help me in a preventative mode? Because we don't hear a lot about that, really.
Not enough.
Not enough, but we look at the whole person. This is a holistic approach. We look at the mind, body, spirit, and you want to look at, again, all aspects of that person's life, their stressors, their relationships, their food sources, their schedule, their sleep, You want to look at their, again, time to themselves, that individual time. You want to look at their, again, when we're looking at the whole person, we're also looking at the whole body and all the systems and how they interplay with each other, okay? So I'm looking at hormone balance, I'm looking at nutrition, I'm looking at exercise, I'm looking at their environment, their work environment, where do they live, what kind of water are they drinking, I'm looking at where did they grow up, part of the country, were they in Reading, Pennsylvania? I saw a patient a few days ago. Every woman in her family has breast cancer. She says she doesn't have any of her high school cronies. They're all dead. Wow. I mean, that's a little bit scary. Reading, Pennsylvania.
Oh, boy.
So do you suppose that might be when you're looking at where they're from, what are you looking at?
Industrial pollutants.
Right.
And we're talking
toxins.
toxins.
Battery factories. I know Reading kind of reasonably well anyway, but it is industry, no question about it.
Correct. But even in the best circumstances, we have toxins, and we need to help you detox. Okay, and I think that's one of the things, that we can talk about.
And let's talk about that when we come back. Detoxification.
And we will. And you're listening to A Third Opinion. We'll be back after the break. You're listening to A Third Opinion on 660 WORL. I'm Paul Rodgers. My co-host is Bob Weldon, who's Director of Wellness at the Zelner Institute of Integrative Medicine, and Dr. Catherine Zelner, who is the Zelner Institute of Integrative Medicine. Delighted to have her on the program.
I think people can tell we're live with that little glitch.
I think we're live, yeah. Well, at live radio, it's nothing like it, especially when it works.
Live at Dr. Zelner's.
Well, we do enjoy ourselves, and we're hopefully providing some valuable information to our listeners today. And by the way, if you'd like to talk with Dr. Zelner or ask us a question or give us a comment or talk about an experience you may have had on this very tragic and horrible topic of breast cancer, which needs discussing, and there needs to be a lot more work done so that we can get our arms around this problem. Bob, we were talking about detox.
Yes, we've been talking in the last segment about prevention protocols and just general nutrition that will help the body to defend itself. But one of the things that we focus on here, actually one of the very first things that we try to focus on here with patients is toxins in the environment and detoxification, which is a word that's thrown around quite a bit, and maybe people don't quite understand it. But let's just throw it over to Dr. Zelner, how she views this.
These toxins have been proven contributory to cancers of all kinds, and yes, breast cancer as well.
Of course.
That's the connection.
Of course. And what is that connection, Dr. Zelner?
The connection between toxins and cancer?
That is the question. Yes.
And how we get rid of the toxins.
Cancer, again, we believe is when some cells are kind of down-regulated, these immune cells, okay? We have actually an innate system that can kill off viruses, bacterial, and they also can kill these cancer cells, okay? So what happens when we get toxins in our body, they bind up these receptors and they disrupt hormones, which are messengers to kind of, again, that work with our immune system, and these other enzymes and proteins that work with our immune system to fight off the cancer cells or to destroy them. And so here our little police system of the body is, again, altered, and it's dysfunctional until we can get these toxins, which are kind of disrupting our normal immune response. And inflammation is kind of a byproduct of toxins. So, okay, if you want to look at it because you've got things working crazily, and you've got all this inflammation that it just overwhelms the immune system. So our natural innate cells, like, these T killer cells and these all these immune cells that actually, it's amazing. Our bodies are amazing things, but these things actually destroy and just eradicate a cancer cell or even a cell that's gone bad with a mutation, that instead of that cell duplicating, it gets taken out of the body and then allowing new cell growth. With this cell model, that's what integrative medicine is trying to, again, facilitate, again, the immune system, immune boosters to do this, to fight cancer.
So the nutritional supplements that we talk about are really armaments for your autoimmune system army.
Yeah, the problem is these are like, it's like putting gasoline into your Ferrari, right? I mean, Ferrari's a great thing to have. That's the human body. But without that great gasoline, boy, you can't have much fun in that Ferrari. And that's what our bodies do for us. The more fun we're going to have in this body, the better nutrients, the better health we have. We got to have good sleep, got to have good sex hormones. I mean, let's turn it on. Let's have some fun. Okay. And that's what we're trying to get people to get into their optimal health so they can go out there and live a good life and have some fun.
Beginning with nutrition.
Right.
It's a terrific place to start, and it is the place to start. And it's always been the place to start. But we've departed. Now we're trying to throw that net out there and let's get it all back to where we can really begin to do some things for ourselves. It's very selfish, by the way. We're doing all this for ourselves.
Good.
And it's in the area of prevention. Gee, it works for me.
That's a good point. And the thing is, we do start with nutrition, but when you look at toxins in the environment, I think everybody, I don't think this is really a hard sell for people. We've got thousands and thousands and thousands of toxins that we produce from modern technology and the advancement of man and all the things that we do, but we don't really think about the waste that we produce in the form of heavy metals and pesticides and these xenobots that are just foreign to human bodies that disrupt the metabolism of the cell and cause inflammation, cause cells not to die when they're supposed to die, and as Dr. Zelner just pointed out, suppress the immune system.
And
the
Bob,
immune system is our watchdog.
The evidence is clear. In 1947 or 48, the incidence of cancer was 1 out of 95 people. 1 out of 95 people in the U.S. were going to contract cancer. In 1970, when President Nixon declared the war on cancer, it was 1 out of 27. 1 out of 27 people were going to contract cancer at some time during their life. That's 1970. So 23 years after that 1947 study. In 2008, the National Institute of Health Statistics say 1 out of 2 men and 1 out of 3 women are going to contract cancer of one form or another at some time during their lives. We are losing this battle. We're going the wrong way at a high rate of speed, and it's because of the stuff that's been invented and created over all the years, and that gets thrown into the atmosphere and into the water, and you and I and every one of us are subject to it. But there are things we need to be doing to fight it off a little bit. Right. Or maybe a lot.
Well, our grandparents had an easier job of it. I mean, since our grandparents were alive, we've been introduced to 88,000 new industrial chemicals in our water, air, food, soil. I mean, it's
dental amalgams,
everything we're putting on our skin, washing, soaps, detergents, cleaning, everything. It's just overwhelming to our body. And we're amazing to be alive. Some days I look at it.
It really should be a surprise that cancer is on the rise because of this. And we don't hear people talk much about, well, why is cancer increasing? Why are we losing the battle? And it's really got to do with these toxins.
When so many of these toxins have been researched and proven to be carcinogens, I mean, we're not talking folly here on this program. We're talking the truths. And it's been so many of these, what would you call them, substances that are flying around in the atmosphere and floating through the water and in products we use have been researched and proven to be carcinogens. Proven. So it would be a good idea to kind of depart from them and go down a different road.
And remove the toxic burden that we already have in the body, and that's what we focus on here in the practice.
Right. We're coming up on a break. We're talking with Dr. Catherine Zelner. This is A Third Opinion. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to A Third Opinion. I'm Paul Rodgers, Bob Weldon, Dr. Catherine Zelner. And now I'm completely confused. I wanted to remind everyone that to find out a little bit more about what's going on with Dr. Zelner's medical practice, go to her website, drzelner.com, drzelner.com. And we mentioned this earlier in the program today, there's a test that someone
it's a survey, really.
A survey that involves incidents of breast cancer that a person can take right on the website. Please do that. And
that's just on the front page there. You'll see it on the right-hand column there. It says Hereditary Cancer Survey, I believe it is. And it's really just it's the BRCA1, BRCA2 gene survey. to look at family history of cancer to just kind of determine if you should be a candidate, if you would be a candidate for this genotyping or this genotesting that we do here. It's a very easy test. You come in, you make an appointment, we do a little swab. Of course, you have to be a patient here, but we can take care of that as well, and we'd be able to take care of that for you.
And Bob, once again, that's at drzelner.com, and it's a test that takes 2 minutes to take?
Probably that.
So this would be...
We take that information and we pull in, again, some other health risk factors, and we actually have a calculation of someone's breast cancer risk, and that's what we do in your visit.
Well, that'd be great for people to do. Go on the website and take that. We have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hello there.
How are you today, sir?
I am fine. I'm fine.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have a question for us?
I do. I'm on the road, and I have lost. I can't hear you on the radio, but I'm taking Nature's Pearl. I'm thrilled with it. I've done all the research. I told my daughter about it. She's sleeping better at night when she takes it at night. So I'm well aware of the product. But I have a friend whose mother, father, and brother all have died with cancer. In conversation, I was telling her she ought to take Nature's Pearl, and she had the funniest response, and I'd love to have what to say back to her, because she said, well, I'm already doing things to prevent from getting cancer, and I can't imagine, other than she goes to the gym, I can't imagine what she would possibly be doing.
Well, we can't either unless you could tell us.
Well, why don't we let Dr. Zelner just give her recommendation, because we do use Nature's Pearl.
If somebody has an incidence, if somebody has a strong incidence of cancer in their family, you have to believe there's some sort of a genetic tendency in existence there, wouldn't you? Or at least examine that.
I would definitely look at, again, that pedigree, that family history, and see what cancers run in the family. That can give some very powerful information that can help her. And again, when we approach with a person with a really strong family history, we know we've got to be getting busy now with those prevention guidelines. And, Nature's Pearl is a wonderful supplement to, again, raise the antioxidants. It has great anti-cancer protective mechanisms, just, again, by decreasing inflammation. And it most likely helps the immune system, supports the immune system. And, we have the Wake Forest Medical Center research showing 8 different cancer lines and the inhibitory effects of that Nature Pearls. How much is she taking? Should that be supplemented with some other? Should we be checking her oxidative stresses, her glutathione levels? Should be looking at other nutrients. I mean, you may have one essential nutrient that's missing, and without that, the immune function is decreased. So, I mean, it's a very complex evaluation, and again, it doesn't happen in 15 minutes. We got to look at, again, a lot of family history, and then we recommend blood testing, urine testing, hormone testing. Someone like that is a perfect person for a program like we have.
Well, I want to thank the caller. Thank you very much for calling in. And Dr. Zelner, you said in your answer, you used the P word, which I love, the prevention word. That's what our program is all about. That's what the Third Opinion is all about. We're trying to discuss methods whereby people can put into place prevention for getting these awful diseases. Among them, of course, are cancer, heart disease, and etc. So when you're talking about doing these tests at the Zelner Institute, you are delving deeply into the blood work. It's not just, here's your PSA and here's your cholesterol and goodbye. It's deep delving into the blood work to find out what these little trace nutrients might be and how one nutrient affects one little specific part of your autoimmune system. You're not getting it, for example. It's a very in-depth study that leads to learning specifically what the nutrients are that a person needs. That's what's so wonderful about this integrative medicine practice that you've done, and there are many other physicians that are doing it as well. It's wonderful, 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 because it gets very, very specific.
Yes, that's what it's unique. Every person is unique, and their biological needs are different. So we don't have a cookie cutter plan for every patient. We need to do the testing. We need to do the history. We need to do the physical exam. We have to take all of that information. It's a wonderful kind of investigative process that we engage with our patients, and they're a big part of that, and their fears and their belief systems and their expectations. All of that is very important for the healing process as well. I mean, you can't if someone doesn't think something's going to work, that's another aspect. I'm not going to give it to them. Why would I want them to waste their money and leave it on the shelf or in their medicine cabinet and not take it? So I work with the individual. And that's another thing that I do believe the integrative medical community does that as well. And we're missing out on that in the conventional managed care medical model. We are not working with the individual. And we're missing out on helping lots of people.
Well, and we're grounded in dealing with the effect and not paying attention to the cause. So I'm a big cause kind of guy because I was trained that way by my dad, who was also a doctor, and used to say, you know what the problem is with medicine, son? No, what is it, Dad? We always deal with the effect and we never deal with the cause. Well, that was 1965 when Dad said that. And he passed away in 1975. He might have been ahead of the curve on
a little bit ahead there.
So I was trained, and so I became a believer at a young age, in at least in trying to understand it a little bit more. I don't understand it, of course, from the point of view of a medical professional. That's not where I'm grounded, but I have a fundamental understanding of it because I lived it. Now we meet Dr. Zelner, Bob Weldon, and I start doing a radio program together. I'm getting a little bit more educated in it, and I'm very, very excited about the opportunity we're going to have on the Third Opinion to tell people about these procedures and protocols that, frankly, are being hidden. You are specifically and intentionally not being told about this stuff.
Or you just don't know where to look.
He said to his listeners. So how do you feel about that? Does that make you happy? It should really make you mad. You should be saying, doggone it, we got to get going and do something about this, and you can. Go give us a call and let's talk about it. Join us every Saturday for a Third Opinion, and we'll try to help you.
Great. And
your family.
So back to this question that the caller asked. Of course, it's tough you can't diagnose over the phone, and Dr. Zelner would never do that. But there are some basic things that we do here.
Take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning.
Yeah, call me in the morning. But Dr. Zelner, I think it'd be easier just for our listeners if you could just kind of walk them through how you talk to a patient when they're coming here, and maybe they're concerned about. That's a great what test
suggestion.
Would you order? What are you looking at? And let's just focus maybe on I'm worried about cancer. I have a family history of cancer. I don't have it yet, but what do you recommend that I do, doctor?
Take us through an integrative appointment. Okay. I'm a patient. I just came in, and I'm talking. I'm a little tired, and this or that or the other thing. Doctor, what should we do? Where do we go from here?
Well, we have them fill out quite a bit of questionnaires in the beginning, lots of questions, okay? But without understanding where the primary problems or complaints or symptoms are, we're not going to get anywhere. And that takes some time, too. The body's pretty complex, okay? Yes. And the majority of symptoms are just generalized, headaches, let's say swelling in my joints, backache, loss of sex drive, I'm tired in the morning, my hair's coming out. And they're not going to tell you, I've got slow metabolism and, I've got a zinc deficiency and I've got, okay. So then from there, we say, well, we got to look at, let's look at your overall systems, your metabolism. Let's take a look at your cell health. Let's see if, again, you have oxidative stresses. Do you have any mineral vitamin deficiencies? Hey, let's look at the condition of your liver. How are you detoxifying? Do you have enough, methylation pathways? I look at their hormone balance. Okay, we're going to say, hormones are very vital to our health. These are again, they activate cell activities. So what we want on hormone balance, I'm going to look at their hormone levels. Okay, and we can do that several different ways. So we're going to first of all assess physical exam and then suggest some testing. Okay. Now, some of the testing, again, is paid for by their insurance or partially paid for by their insurance. That was part of the beginning of our program when we were talking about, well, how much of this is covered?
Right.
But some of it's not. And so, again, we try to keep, costs down. But, again, what we can do is offer what we have and see where the patient wants to take it. What does she want or he wants to do next?
Well, I can testify to the fact that you're thorough and very nice. There's great people in this medical practice. We're not trying to do a commercial for your practice, Dr. Zelner, but we're delighted to do so.
Yes.
And we're glad you're with us. We have a break coming up, and we'll be back after the break with more of A Third Opinion.
Hello, I'm Dr. Catherine Zelner of the Zelner Institute of Integrative Medicine. Obesity in America has become an epidemic resulting in serious health complications for people of all ages. Have you tried several weight loss programs only to gain back the weight you lost? I've developed a very successful medically supervised program that enables my patients to lose up to a pound a day. And what's more, I can teach you how to keep the weight from coming back. It's time to get slim with Zim. Please call today to schedule your free one-on-one weight loss consult, where you'll learn more about an amazing program that I and many of my patients have personally experienced. At the Zelner Institute, we're concerned about your total health, and we recommend the Nature's Pearl Raw Food Supplement as well as their certified toxic-free skincare line, all part of our Get Slim with Them weight loss program. Call us for a free consultation, 407-345-5055, extension 232. That's 407-345-5055, extension 232.
Welcome back to A Third Opinion, and we thank you for joining us today. This is our debut program on WORL 660 AM. We're on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to noon each week. I'm Paul Rodgers. Bob Weldon is my co-host. Bob is the Director of Nutrition and Wellness at the Zelner Institute of Integrative Medicine. Dr. Catherine Zelner is one of our esteemed medical professionals who has joined us today. Dr. Zelner, we thank you again for being on the program. By way of kind of doing a précis of what we've talked about today, we started by describing the purpose of the program, which is to bring to you, our listeners, information that to date has been not available to you for a whole wide variety of reasons, none of which you will be happy about. But nevertheless, you're not hearing about certain things that are in the area of procedures and protocols that are complementary to what you find in traditional medicine, thus an integrative medical practice. That's the purpose of the program. And today we've been discussing the topic of breast cancer, which is a very, very awful disease, and it's quite a lot of folks, unfortunately, get it. 250,000 women every year are diagnosed with breast cancer. So let's do a little wrap-up for our listeners, where we started and where we are right now.
I think it's a great idea. So find yourself an integrative doctor would be my advice. If you're looking for some prevention protocols, I know on future shows we're going to discuss, and we've touched on it a little bit today about estrogen dominance and issues with that, methylization, detoxification. We'll be going into all those in depth with Dr. Zelner and others, hopefully, to talk about this. Toxic metals, we're going to talk about that quite a bit. Where do we get them? How do they disrupt the body? And, of course, more about this industry. We think people need to know that there's doctors like Dr. Zelner that are able to address things that are not being addressed in traditional medicine. And Dr. Zelner is an expert in these. She's been back to school, as you might say, to get a new look at how to treat her patients. And I know, Dr. Zelner, that you're concerned about your patients, and I know that we've discussed many things here on this program, and so on future shows, what are we going to be talking about, Doctor? So some of the things that you're really interested in.
Right.
Well, we have a great concern to help people, again, clean up their lives. Detoxification is a big thing that I think can just, if we detox yearly as a part of our health regimen, I think we can avoid the majority of chronic, again, diseases caused by inflammation, including cancer. And, as an integrative physician too, I work alongside the traditional physicians as an adjuvant. Like if my patients come in and they're on chemotherapy, they've had their breast mastectomies done, we work on the other supporting. Obviously, someone who gets cancer is sick, and their body is sick. So we work alongside in improving their nutrition, detoxing, and helping hormone balance, and helping them have a good, joyful life, a healthy life. And again, that's what we're trying to get everybody back to, is a state of health, the health that we were born with.
Well, we're not meant to diss traditional medicine. That's not the purpose of the program, and please don't take that as our topic. That's not what we do. We, in fact, quite the opposite. We deeply respect traditional medicine. But what we're trying to do is be advocates for, if you will, the integrative side of this, which lands in the area of prevention. Traditional medicine deals with effect. We want to start also addressing cause, and you've put those two things together in your practice, Dr. Zelner, as you just expressed. And it's a very, very important new way, I believe, of looking at the practice of quote-unquote traditional medicine. Before there was traditional medicine as we knew it, there was nutritional medicine because that's all you had. So we're bringing all of this back into the fore, and it's very, very interesting, and it's very, very exciting.
And I think this is important to just point out the reason we picked the title of our program, A Third Opinion. You know, many people get a diagnosis and they go get a second opinion. It generally confirms the first opinion of the traditional medical.
Similar much of the
time.
So
we're encouraging people to get a third opinion. Look outside the box. There are so many exciting things out there that people can be doing that are either looking for prevention, of course, and we have Dr. Zelner and other doctors. We have Dr. Oz and Dr. Mercola, who I mentioned a lot, because they are really a wealth of information on the preventative side of things. But if you're looking for some, as Dr. Zelner mentioned, cancer support treatment, diabetes, hormone replacement therapy, the list goes on of what you're dealing with.
And it's all covered in the integrative side of this. It's really amazing.
You just don't take the first two opinions. Get a third opinion and look outside, because there are so many things out there, as I've discovered in my career and Dr. Zelner has discovered, that we find a lot of people just aren't aware of. That is an option. Doesn't mean you have to do it. It's an option for you to look at, do your homework. It's so easy to get educated and have someone who really cares and can spend the time like Dr. Zelner and others do to walk you through some of these things and help you to make a decision. It's really up to the individual, as Dr. Zelner opened up the program with. It's an individual choice to do these things. And hopefully in this program, we're going to be able to bring some of these to the attention of our listening audience here in Orlando and help you to point you in the right direction, whether it's Dr. Zelner or someone else. It may offer a different modality of treatment. We're pretty much connected with everybody here in the community.
Well, and it's our job a lot of this information that we're talking about is stored in a safe, and there's a combination to that safe, but we don't have it. So our job is to crack the safe. We're going to crack the safe, and we've really already cracked it. We've opened it, and we've found this information in there that you, our listeners, people who are just general citizens, folks like us, walking around every day, who are going to be looking for some of the complementary procedures that will be an enhancement to what traditional medicine can provide for you, an enhancement.
And these are here in town. You don't have to fly to Mexico to get them. They're here here in the Orlando area, and we're going to be a conduit to connect you to the right person or the right physician or the right practice to do that, along with Dr. Zelner's help, who is really helping us to pioneer this radio program, really.
Do you remember
to support that?
Do you remember the movie Network from back in the 70s?
Of course.
Albert Finch, who's screamed out the window.
Can you give us a limitation of that?
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Well, that should be your reaction when he said to our listeners, that should be your reaction when you learn that there's lots and lots of information out there that you're not allowed to know. You're not allowed to know this, by golly. Well, you're going to find out about it on A Third Opinion every week from 10 to noon on WORL on Saturday mornings. So that's kind of our purpose in life, and we're going to bring this information to you, and it's all going to be researched, it's all going to be certified information, no snake oil here, and we're also going to have people like Dr. Zelner who are going to join us every week and bring the certification so that it's not just Paul Rodgers, who doesn't know bupkis about this, and Bob Weldon, who does but who is not a physician, just perpetrating a bunch of hoax. Is the plural of hoaxes?
I don't know. It sounds pretty good to me.
Perpetrating hoaxes on you. That's not what
Let's
we
make
do.
A new word.
Well, we just did. So, but that's the purpose of the program.
Right. And let me just add, before we close, if anyone would like to learn more about Dr. Zelner's practice, they can call at 407-345-5055. And my extension is 232. Be glad to talk to you. If you'd like to learn about any of our therapies or become a patient, we'd be glad to bring you on board for that.
Website.
And the website is drzelner.com. And that website also links over to the Zelner Institute of Integrative Medicine website, where you'll find about the nutritional things. And go to that website again and take that little quiz or little survey and see what your risk factors are from family history. It's on
risk factors for breast cancer.
That's for breast cancer, correct? Yeah. BRCA1 and BRCA2. And just another next week we're going to have on pharmacy specialist here in town. They're out of Maitland area, and they're our compounding pharmacy of choice. Dr. Zelner uses them for compounding the hormones, and you may not even know what a compounding pharmacy is. We're going to give you a little education on that next week and on hormone therapy. And also, we've heard about the controversy with the New England compounding that killed those people. Well, how did that happen? We're going to talk about that a little bit. And should you be worried about a compounding pharmacy? And we'll have a pharmacist by the name of Jill Weinstein from a very knowledgeable lady. We'll be talking about HCG and the hormone that's out there that we use for weight loss programs that sometimes gets a negative rap here. We're going to be talking about a lot of those things. It'll tie in with our complete stream of thought here, or information of the things that these integrative doctors do in the area, and the out services we use, like a pharmacy specialist.
Information you won't find anywhere else. That's what we want to do, Bob. We want to bring information.
Well, they probably could find it, but we're going to put it all in one nice, neat little package.
Well, maybe they could find it, but they won't take time to try to look. So we're going to hit you over the head with it. By golly, if you listen to this show, this is what you're going to learn. No, but it's serious. It's serious business. Right. Your health is serious business. You should we should take it a little more seriously. Get a little selfish. Let's get a little bit selfish, and let's start taking a little bit better care of ourselves. Dr. Zelner, thank you so much for joining us today.
And I thank you for the opportunity.
You are an absolute gem.
This has been a wonderful day, and we love talking with our community about integrative medicine.
Well, you're a gem, and we're delighted that you're on the show. Bob, we'll see you on...
Okay, see you next week. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for those callers.
Yep, thanks very much. Paul Rodgers, see you next week.